Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride with us here this evening. It's that's not the button we needed.
Get a little rusty over there? It's been a while.
I was a little thrown off when I got here. They had all sorts of crazy stuff going on. They're doing a ton of remodeling here at Finger Lakes One. I'd love to sit here and tell you that that's the reason that we were off. It was not. We had intentions last week of rallying and having a show and everything. I was in lockdown until Monday night or Sunday, I can't remember, one or the other. But then Monday, Martin Luther King Day, we had all that big snow, and our dog was playing in the snow and split her toenail off at the front of her foot.
Ooh.
So we took her to the doctors, and they handed me a quote for like $350 because of the anesthetic and the surgery and everything. And thank the stars that the doctor peeked over the counter before that dog went behind the door. And he goes, "Oh, that nail's still there," which I don't know what you heard when I said that sentence, but I heard lower bill.
I thought you were going to say Bridget just brought her home, put some super glue on it.
No,
good.
well, it was bleeding bad, like to the point where I don't do well with blood, so it seemed like gallons. But I mean, I don't know if you've ever split your fingernail back into that. And her toenails are black, and she's an all black dog, so I can never tell where the quick is anyway. I've had that problem with Molly. I had that problem with Bella, and now Charlotte isn't immune from that problem either. But so
Molly, Bella, and Charlotte, is that all WWE inspired?
No,
Oh,
no.
right.
You could make connections. You could probably make that. No, Molly was the first dog that I had when I was in college. She was named for the band Flogging Molly.
Of course.
And Bella was named just because it fit her goofy personality, because she wasn't exactly a showgirl at all, you know. And then she was a ton of fun. She was the one that had the blown ACLs and plural. I didn't stutter. And then Charlotte was named. I have a 1992 Winston poster that was turned into a clock that my dad gave me, and that was the first year that they ran under the lights, and Davey Allison won, and the wreck at the end, Kyle Petty, and all that stuff. And the back of the banner, or the poster, is the wall where it says Charlotte. Right there as the cars are coming down and take the green for the final stage, and that's how she got that name. Although there is some argument in my house that it could be named after Charlotte Flair, but that's the story I'm sticking to. It came from the NASCAR poster. So fast forward to the next day, and the dog is walking around dangling her front foot, and won't put any weight on it, and it looks like it may have puffed up some. And one of the things that we had with Bella before, I wrapped her leg too tight, and her paw tripled in size, so I was a little aware of it. So we took the dog back over, took her back over, they unwrapped it, and we got there, she hopped out of the car, finally was putting weight on it, and we really think that she was just sucking up for attention. I don't know what the deal was, but
It's funny you say that. Our male Rottweiler, he was playing once and like hurt his shoulder or elbow or something, and like he was limping and crying and the whole nine for a few days. And Crystal and the boys got him in the car and brought him up to Ovid, and I got to work. He was playing once and like
he jumped out of that truck and was fine,
like legit, like nothing had ever happened. So we take him in, and the vet's like, "Yeah, his elbow or shoulder or something's a little swollen, but he's good." And we're like, "Yeah." 2 hours ago, we thought, this was it. We're gonna have to make the choice of, but it's weird how the dogs do that stuff sometimes.
So we got that all taken care of. Kelsey was going in to get her wrist looked at on Wednesday. Thursday, she got her leg. The dog got her leg unwrapped officially, and she got to take the dopey Victorian collar off and everything. Friday, we were back at Marcellus. Saturday, we were back at Marcellus in the morning, and all manner of COVID tests happening at home. So we got back, and Sunday, I was having some symptom stuff come back, so I talked to the school. I was put back into quarantine just to make sure that it wasn't going to make anybody sick, and it was a sinus infection like I thought. And that brings us to Wednesday, and here we are. And so much has happened in the last week that's just not even tied to that stuff.
Yeah, it's been crazy. We a couple weeks ago we had the COVID go through our house. Zach had been hanging out with some friends and went out to dinner with a classmate from school and her family, and come home, and he's hanging out with us, and he goes out and takes Advil. And Zach never takes Advil, like never. And I'm like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Oh, I just got a little bit of a headache." And I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." So then that was Sunday. Monday, he gets up and he's like, "I think I got a cold." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I a little bit of runny nose and got some gunk." And he had to go for an MRI because he's been having some back issues. So we had to. So we go
taken care of quick.
Oh yeah, we go get the MRI and come home. And Crystal's like, "I think I'm going to take him to get checked." And I'm like, "All right." Sure enough, takes him to town on Monday. Yep, he's positive. So he comes home and he gets moved upstairs, and he's in quarantine up there, and his brother's complaining that he's got to be stuck downstairs. And so then Tuesday, everything was fine. Wednesday, I had to go to work. I had to be to work at 3 a.m. So I get up at like 2:15 Wednesday morning, and I'm like, "Man, I got a cold. This isn't good." So I go to work, and the whole nine, and I was supposed to work all day, but the supervisor came in and we had extra. I said, "Look," I said, "I'm not feeling good." I said, "My son has it." He's like, "Well, it's up to you if you think you can stay, because I've been vaccinated and had the booster, and if you think you can stay, it's up to you." I said, I want to go get checked because, I would feel terrible if I did have it and got somebody else sick, and then they got somebody sick that, So I went and got checked, and sure enough, I had it. So I got quarantined in my bedroom. And when I mean quarantine, I mean my 5-foot Polish wife said, "You will stay in there, and that's where you're going to be." And so I sat in there for a few days and finally had to break down and go out and get a lawn chair to come in and sit on because I was sick of laying down. But, Zach and I were blessed. All we had was cold symptoms. We didn't have no loss of taste or smell or anything serious. So, we were lucky. And it's, I've talked to so many people and know so many people that have had it from, like what we have to, obviously passing away. So, but we're good to go now and onward and upward.
But in the midst of all this, we also lost Kathy Brewster.
Yep,
which was extraordinarily sad, and it kind of hit me harder today than anything else because I found a recipe that I picked up my phone and I was going to text her, and there's nobody to text there, so that was certainly a little bit of an awakening, so to say, but. In the midst of all that, and between being sick and being kind of laid out, there was a little bit of time to reflect and think about things. And it was kind of brought to my attention that I have the attention of a goldfish.
I don't believe that.
And as we explored a little bit more, I'm like a goldfish. What passes in front of me is what I'm invested in, all in, and everything else falls by the wayside. It might be live streaming, it might be 31st lap, it might be roof signs, or then it might be a magazine, or it might be graphics, or it might be mud bosses or RC cars or whatever. And I found the next cool thing and I sort of left that behind, or I left this behind, or I lost track of that, and it made me a little bit self-reflective, kind of self-aware, because I never really thought about it like that. And maybe should I have an awareness of this? It was really interesting to kind of explore that rabbit hole a little bit further, because in my mind, I just want to help whoever I can and make the sport of Derby better. I blew off RC cars because the video game came along. I blew off doing mud bosses because I was having more fun painting video game cars. And I never even gave that type of perspective a thought, that people feel like maybe they're being left behind. And even as I kind of contemplated that, today is the anniversary of when Jeffy and everybody came up in the midst of the snowstorm to hang out. And, I don't ever want that to be the case. And I never really thought about like how fortunate we are to have a platform where people still listen to what we have to say. And should I have an awareness of that? Should that be something that's on on my mind to know that, I feel like I'm fairly transparent. If you know me through the show, I think maybe you don't know all the inner workings of my personal life at home, but I think you have a pretty good gauge on what my personality is. It was just kind of weird to have that sort of become into perspective. That do I have an awareness of the voice here or not?
I would say that it's weird to do this on air. I would say, as usual, you are probably being too hard on yourself. I don't think.
Well, I think it was a moment of weakness, too.
I don't think that you find the next cool thing and move on by any means. You may not have been as involved with RC stuff, but I mean, you and Ed were still friends. You would call Ed, or Ed would call you, or you would text.
We would still write we would still write the rules together, and we were doing banners and stuff.
That's what I mean. I mean, I don't think by any means, and I don't think anybody that knows you or met you would ever consider that. It's just, it doesn't matter the situation. If a person loses somebody that's close to them, you always look back and think, man, I could have done this different, or did I do this good enough, or, it's human nature. But I definitely wouldn't think there would be anybody that would think that about Chris Marquardt. It's human nature. You were kind of there from the beginning when Ed first came up with the first car, and we were in the other studio.
I sold a lot of stuff, but I didn't sell that.
And
I still have that car.
It was crazy because we'd just been talking about RC demos, and then boom, Ed was on the show with us, and
it was his video.
Yeah, things got big, and Ed was just such a cool dude, and I honestly don't know if I ever met his wife.
No.
I don't remember her traveling, and I don't think I ever met her.
It was only after those spells that he had at Motorama a couple of years ago where she started spending a little bit more time. And also her schedule got to the point where she could spend some time on the road too.
Were they at maybe a New Year's Eve party once?
No. His mom came up with him to Seneca County Fair, and then they took a vacation up here in maybe in 20. That's when they stayed in the camper at the house. But I don't think that you guys had concentric circles.
No, I don't think I ever met her. But I mean, Ed was just such a cool dude. But no, I definitely don't think that's the case. I understand where you're coming from. I mean, even when I lost my mom, I thought about stuff that, geez, if I could have said or would have done, but it's part of life, and it's part of losing people, and unfortunately we deal with it.
The big thing that it was on my mind today was, let's start at the beginning. Bologna, right? Mm-hmm. It comes in the big tube. Did you know that there's a technical term for that?
Mm-mm.
It's called a chub. And if you go to the store and you only want part of that, you can order half a chub. So go ahead and laugh on your own. I did all day at lunch when I was looking stuff up. But there's a way that you could take that, and Ed used to make bologna burgers. He would take boar's head, he would slice it off and grill it and sear it off. It was the equivalent of fried bologna when you were a kid, but it was actually good. And in some of the traveling that I do on some of these smoker websites, you can take one of these loaves of bologna and smoke it. You score the outside and you smoke it and you season it and everything. So there's this whole world of bologna I didn't know about. So you can smoke it and then grill it and make the fried bologna, or you can take it and you can cube it up and you make bologna burnt ends. And all these different recipes. So I got all excited. I was going to tell Kathy about it. And it kind of caught me when I went, oh. But there is good news out of all this. JMW Motorsports, in some way, shape, or form, mostly as a tribute to Ed. JMW Motorsports, as I understand it, is done at this point. Kathy had taken that over, so that the future of that, however much question there may have been, is done. But Motorama is coming up in Harrisburg in February, and they're still going to have the RC stuff.
Cool.
I talked with Brad Hostetter, who used to own Trailway Speedway. That's since been sold. They're still going to have the RC Derby stuff, and he asked if there was anybody that might be able to take it over. My first thought was the Warnicks, Christy and Chris Warnick. They're unfortunately ill, so they're not for sure if they're going to be able to make it.
And then you thought Chris Marquardt?
No, I thought Ian Doyle, and they came to a deal. And Ian has worked with Bobby Edwards, and I think if I remember right, they've got some support from Eldridge and Son Recycling.
Cool.
And they've made Pure Chaos Motorsports, and they're going to be hosting RC derbies in the Northeast with New York RC demos, which is really good news. This is not to squash at all the stuff that goes on out in Western New York. Dunkirk has a very, very healthy RC population. I think it'd be great if those guys could make the trip down. Ian has started working on a new set of rules. They've got a new banner coming, and in the lower corner of the banner, there's a JMW logo, and it's not JMW Derbies, but it says in memory of Ed Brewster on it, which is really cool. I thought that was nice that they were adamant that was going to be there.
Cool.
So I think all in all, it was pretty neat that was able to find some savior and some future, and I know those guys are going to do a good job with it. And I know they got a track.
Yeah, you sure do.
So it sounds like those guys are going to be taking over Speed World. If I didn't say that, Speed World up in Auburn. Again, they're going to be doing that one. And they're going to be going to Motorama for all future dates, hopefully beyond this year. And hopefully that means that they're going to be taking over the stuff at the Seneca County Fair too. If they don't, then I know the phone numbers that we need to get them in touch so that'll have some legs there as well. But all in all, it was good to see that those guys appreciate who came before them in the sport, and they were going to keep Ed's memory going on there.
That's cool.
I thought so. We also have some other cool new stuff. This just came today, and usually we do a read through for Jeffys Fab Farm, but we worked on a script a while ago.
Is this the official world premiere?
I don't know if it's the world premiere, but it's the Crash Course premiere. I'm super excited for Jeffy.
Awesome.
Steve Bucknam did the voiceover on it. It's all really cool. So, Jeffys Fab Farm crew, their new commercial. Here it is.
Jeffys Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby. Jeffys Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, JeffysFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. JeffysFabFarm.com.
Pretty cool.
Right.
When
it came out very well.
When we were down at the Nationals last year in Pittsburgh, I was talking with Jeffy, and he was telling me about that, and he was very excited. So I'm glad to see it came to fruition. Chris actually leaked it to me before I came down. I thought it was pretty cool. So pretty neat to have it out on air. And
so yes, let's go with me leaking it to you. I had to find a way to save it, and as I often do, I just send it to you through Facebook so I can find it in the studio.
That's cool. Whatever it takes. But and it's great. Jeffy is without a doubt one of the great guys of Derby. So it's neat to see something like that, and hopefully we see that on some live streams and stuff like that.
It'll be here because, like I told you before, we've got our deal for the duration of 2022 with a couple different groups now, and that until Jeffy or Derby Tees or whoever produced it, I'm sure that it was Derby Tees. It looked like a bunch of the Derby Tees highlights and stuff, and Steve did the voiceover. Until they change it, that's the one that we've got.
That's cool.
It did, however, take a little bit of finagling to remember how to put a new video in.
Well, 12 or 13 concussions will do that to you.
It will. But that all leads us up to this, and we're going to be getting a hold of Frankie Guy here in just a few minutes. The Kings of Old School Derby Banquet and Swap Meet, the annual Swap Meet and Derby Party is going to be catered and held with a DJ entertainment in the ballroom at the Tioga Downs in Nichols, New York. Door prizes, raffles, 50-50, car raffle, all part of the program there. Elliott Motorsports, MOP Derby Products, Smith Metalworks, Jeffys Fab Farm, Hardcore, all scheduled to attend or to have raffle products there. There's no charge for vendors and buyers to jump into the swap meet area. It is, however, $50 for adults and $30 for kids for banquet access. Preliminary count is due February 1st. The final count due February the 15th. There is a special $139 room rate. All you have to do is mention Kings of Old School 2022 banquet. That's again February the 26th, 2022, 1 p.m. start time, maximum 300 attendees. So jump online, send Brett a reservation, jump on the Facebook page for Kings of Old School. You can get all of your details there. Also, again, we've been talking about RPM Group, a progressive waste management company based in Owego. RPM Group started in 2016 and now boasts 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks. Fully certified and licensed, the RPM Group customer base has grown to include, hopefully that logo, there it is, grown to include more than 3,000 customers offering curbside trash and recycling services in addition to asbestos abatement, asbestos surveys, interior and exterior demolition, lead renovation, mold remediation, mold assessment, and dumpster rental. Call 607-223-8714 for details or join them online, rpmgroupny.com. We've got all sorts of Derby events coming up. We'll run through that stuff quick just to let you know. The season opener already in the books for Coke Promotions, the Battle at Daytona, part of the 527 Unified Point Series. 3 events coming up within the next 2 months. Wicked's Redneck Rumble is coming up on the 29th. That's in Sturgis. That's going to be this weekend. And then February 19th, that's Carolina Promotions Blue Ridge Bash, going to be in Wytheville, Virginia. Spent a little bit of time in Wytheville, Virginia. That's where Wythe Raceway was, up on the hill where Fred Brown plowed in those 2 mountain peaks, carved out a racetrack.
That's kind of
Stacker
cool.
2 Late Model Series came there back before they decided Stacker 2 was kind of bad for you. March 18th and 19th, that's Wicked's Urban Destruction in Sturgis, Kentucky. The standings thus far going into the weekend, Ty Richards out on front with 20 points. Cody Buddy with 16 points. Fugie Barnes third with 12 points. And then a tie for fourth. Michael Nugent, Dalton Lee Winterrod, and Dennis Hogan and J.D. Lorraine, all with 10 points each back there. Stay up to date online, 527unifiedseries.com. Events on the horizon. Capital City Carnage, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2022. CapitalCityCarnage.com has the details. Limited weld, street stock, both 10,000 win weld compacts, 2-man extreme, front-wheel drive hobo stock, front-wheel drive minivan hobo, front-wheel drive youth hobo, all 2,500 to win. They're paying the top 4. March the 3rd is limited weld and street stock weld heat draws. March the 4th, 7 o'clock start time for limited weld and street stock heats and the front wheel drive hobo one and done. And then March the 5th, double program, the twin bill, 10 o'clock start for limited weld and street stock weld consi, front wheel drive youth and the weld compacts. 7 o'clock start time for the back half, 2-man extreme class, front wheel drive van hobo, limited weld feature, and the street stock weld feature. And then the Bash for Cash, before we wrap things up. Bash for Cash, Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. New program this year, May 27th through the 29th, 2022. At SmashDerby.com has all the details there. 3-man team pro stock, 15,000 to win. Turn back the clock class, 12,000 to win. And Smash It Minis, 10,000 to win. Also, 2,000 to win each of them. Smash It full size, Smash It street stock mini, street stock full size. We're going to guess and see what happens to happen if we're doing that drinking game. Every time I say the word stock, you have to take a shot. Keep up if you can. Street stock full size, pro stock mini, youth mini, Smith Metalworks youth full size, street stock minivan truck, mini SUV, Frank's Tank Class, the Relics, and the farm trucks on the schedule. Championship Day is going to be May the 29th. Farm trucks, street stock minis, the Relic Class, the Pro Stock Mini, Smash It full size Pro Stock team feature, and the Turn Back the Clock feature, all part of that program. The full schedule is online again, SmashItDerby.com. And then rounding things out for our break here, Smith Metalworks. They've got their second Derby Expo scheduled for April 8th and 9th in Mercer, Pennsylvania. The event is going to include several seminars. It's going to feature a collaborative rules meeting in addition to a number of the vendors. There's a lot more information to come, and there's a Derby-related event being organized about a mile up the road. It's going to be second to none, which we've come to expect from Smith Metalworks as a whole. Full vendors list is available online at smithmetalworks.info. Various promotions are going to be on hand, including Smash It, Iron City, Hardcore Toast, Deadman, and more. Times for each day in terms of the seminars are TBA thus far. Follow along Facebook.com/Smith Metalworks. That's WORX for more details, or visit them online at Smith Metalworks, WORKS.info. Experience and passion, second to none. So that
pays the bills.
Yeah, that covers just about everything that we needed to make sure that we got to. Now, what have you been watching? What's been new over there? Anything good?
Nothing.
How's the
Nothing
Chili
too exciting.
Bowl?
Chili Bowl was good. I stayed up and watched that. That was pretty decent. Gonna watch the Rolex 24 Hours this weekend. It's bad that I probably want to go see the Rolex 24 Hours, but I want it more than I want to see the Daytona 500. I just think it would be awesome to sit in those bleachers all night long and just watch race cars run by.
I think it'd be more fun to start at like 8 o'clock and watch until probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and then call it good.
I'd watch till the sun came up.
Yeah,
sundown to sun up.
Are you there, Frankie? So in the midst of all the renovations that they've got here, I'm not sure if the phone's even going to connect because all the receivers have been moved, but we'll do the best we can. Frankie's joining us on the line. He's agreeing. He wants to go to the 24-hour Daytona as well. So you gonna do the whole time, all 24 hours?
No,
Frankie.
What's that?
You gonna do all 24 hours when you go to the 24-hour Daytona?
Oh no, I won't watch all 24 hours. That's for sure. Just the wrecks. I like the wrecks. The guys fall asleep and run into each other.
That's great.
I don't know how much wrecking you actually get at the 24 hours Daytona.
They usually tear up some equipment. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This year they're gonna have a hard time. I see. I was looking at the weather today, and they're expecting a big cold front. So the track is going to be cold. So they're going to have a hard time keeping grip on that. So, and those cars are not cheap. So when they wreck stuff, stuff gets wrecked, and it is expensive. So
fiberglass everywhere.
Yep. So Frankie, before we get talking about the season, I got to ask you. You put up a picture of a Dent Show from back in the day, and then you said you officiated. How did you get involved with Dent, and how many of the big indoor shows did you do?
At that point, I was working for as an official for Croucher's Championship Derbies, and Bob was invited. Bob Croucher himself, and he said, "Well, I'm going to bring my head. At that time, I'm going to bring my guy. And they were welcomed with open arms." And it was one of the very first elaborate decks that I was part of. With lifts and Chilton manuals. I remember the Chilton manuals on. Amazing after the fact of how many people I know now that were there at that time that I didn't know. One of the guys I remember very well because I want to say the frame still had that old baby blue and white GM sticker on it.
Yep.
And that was Scott Zizelman.
Yep, I've heard of him.
I remember asking myself, where does somebody find a black GM, brand new from the factory GM frame? And it was at that Derby. I looked under it and I'm like, this thing's like new. Like somebody ordered this. This hasn't been ever in a car. This is just astonished.
Yeah.
And his name Scott Zizelman came to mind, but a very elaborate. The guy that actually either won or got second, they was making the call for the last call in the arena. The cars were parked in the throughway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all the cars were moved, and they were shutting the gate. And that picture was like the holding tank after they went in.
Yep.
There's one car sitting there. Everybody passed it by. It was like, who knows who it is? Or I'm like, man, just there's one car out here. I mean, they're going to shut the gate. He ain't going to get the run. I jump in the car, pull it in the arena. If my memory serves me correct, I want to say he either won or was in the top three.
That's awesome.
So after the fact, I felt pretty good about moving that car. I'm like, man, that would suck to come all that way, and who knows where they're at. Or at that point, it was. There was just a lot of things going on everywhere. Maybe they went to get something to eat or didn't catch it, or put the thing on, hit the, back then, twist the wire and go. I mean, it wasn't rocket science. I moved it in, parked it,
Yep.
Later on, I remember talking to him. Hey, if you're looking for your car, it's in here.
Yeah. You know, and it was.
I know it was either the winner or the top 3 that I moved that car in.
And I mean, I remember, hearing about Dent and, a little bit on the internet and a little bit here. And then we actually got some tapes from the Dent shows. And it was so cool to watch because, we'd never seen anything like that around here. And,
the Dent car, the Dent
Very
Enforcer, one of
memorable
them.
for me. My wife wouldn't feel well. I begged her to go. As I was officiating and checking cars, remember she ended up, Michelle, was it kidney stones? Gallbladder. She had a gallbladder attack.
Wow.
Yikes.
So she ends up driving herself to the hospital, and I don't know how, but cell phones and connections, and I was busy, and flip phone, who knows what we had at that point, or bags or whatever. I didn't know where she was. I thought, like, my wife's missing. And finally, after hours and hours of the show, she got back. She had drove herself to the hospital, and they gave her some pain medicine and had her in there. When we got back, she had the gallbladder taken out back home. But very memorable for me and my buddy, again, a great friend of mine, Bob, and the memories. Talking to, I can't remember his name, the guy but he was a hairdresser. He actually was a hairdresser, I believe.
Mark Elliott.
The guy who at that time was the Dent Show.
It wasn't Mark, but go on. Sorry.
So
yeah, that was the beginning of, like, big time derby for
right. Remember when the enforcer or one of the enforcers came to the Motorsports Expo in the spring?
Yep.
Back when Dirt Car and Gator and everything was that was right there in the center. There's a derby car. This is crazy.
Yeah, that was neat. But no, it was cool to see.
I can barely hear you guys.
I'll work on it.
Go ahead. Yeah, so I mean, it was just neat to see because, like you said, to know that you'd been out there, and then, like, actually the Dent's website is still up, and it's still got all the information, so you could go back and look at who was where, and now through the blessing of Crash Course, we've got to meet so many guys, and it's neat to see who's been in it for so long. I mean,
I go back. Ron McClung was there. Toast was there. Casey Smith was there.
Yep.
Just as on a local level, Danny Trent.
Yep.
The 200. Some of the guys from Washington was there. Those guys. So.
Yep.
So Jimmy Malloy. I think that's in that red car.
Yep.
That's who that was, and then some of the other guys. I can't remember all the names, but there was quite a few local guys.
Yep.
That we traveled up because of us being local. That's how they knew about it. They went to run the Dent Show.
Yep. Yeah, there was quite a contingent from New York that went out there. The Snyder brothers were the first two to go out, and they took Mopars, and I think they ran 3 times. They took Mopar all 3 times, but then Aaron Bunce went out and ran, and Mike Rice and Stephen Manichaki went out and ran once. There was a lot of guys. I think Frankie Rundell, who passed away.
I was just gonna say I saw a Frankie Rundell tribute come
Yeah,
across.
he went out and ran. It was neat to see, man. It was, like I said, it was the forerunner of the big shows now. So
sure, and I remember one of the things was locked rear end or not locked rear end.
Yep.
It was one of them things with the soap, and how wet was it going to be, or how. But I remember that was not having. I mean, mostly a stock rear end at best.
Yeah.
Or the one that came in it.
Yeah.
Remember guys looking for the limited slip rear end and not welded or right,
Yep.
So.
And it was neat to watch. Even now you can go back and see some of them on YouTube, and man, they were. Those cars weren't, when they started, they were not a heavy build car like they were at the end of the Dent run.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were junking stuff. It was fun to watch. It was really enjoyable.
Absolutely. And again, probably start very fortunate for me again, going back, showing my age. My God, somebody asked me one time, how many cars have you actually inspected or looked at? My days. Well, I mean, I've probably been in some form or another over 18 years. Either, I drove for over 20, inspected like the following 18 on and off, and here I am now. So, and I mean, I've been very fortunate to work with, again, some, Iron City and some of the other guys in Florida and Johnny in Vegas show. And I never thought that Derby would take me to the degree of where I'm at today. And on a local level, I've officiated them all. Destruction Productions, I can Luray, Virginia to Randolph, Ohio. The Schumans and the Lovejoys first schooling me on bumper shocks. Theirs somehow looked a little bigger than everywhere else I went.
Did at risk of making you older than you are, did you Derby in the 70s?
No, my first Derby was in the mid '80s, '84, and I won the first Derby that I ever entered.
I think we talked about that once before, but if you think the '80s and then count forward, that's still 5 decades.
Oh my God, yeah. So, I'm old. Let's just say that.
Frankie, you carry it well, man. That's all that matters.
Yes, I'm carrying too much of it now. I've made it a point of I'm either going out and doing something important, or I don't do much. Derby World this fall, going into winter, for whatever reason, everything is 2.5 months ahead. Where I needed something, I feel like I had to have everything 2.5 months before I normally did. And the shows prove it. I mean, you're seeing more shows. I mean, they started day one of 2022, and bang, bang, bang. I mean, they continuously come. Here we are. Before you know it, I mean, I have a show April 30th, all the way. I'm going to November 12th this year. It never ended last year. It just rolled right through. I have the lift. We rent the lift to, we'll go to TJ and Dead Man, and we was at the, King of, God, when we're not using it, if it can help, part of it, I bought it to help. I mean, if we can make a difference somewhere or make a better inspection to, point the needle in the right direction in Derby World, that's what it's for. So if I'm not using it, so we ran all the way to the end of October, and then bang, November was here, and we were back on I ran around with Casey to the Blizzard Bash, and then I went Jonathan Howman. We ended up at the, what is that?
Turkey Derby?
In Indiana. Turkey Derby. Yeah, the Turkey Derby. We was out there with those guys, and just never quit. I mean, it just roll right continuously rolling. Casey opening the SMW Expo in April, trying to get apparel, but all the things ready to be there. Before it was March, it was May, June. Now we're, you need 90 days to get apparel done, and with back and forth with drawings and expectations and sponsorships earlier this year, and let's just say a little overwhelmed. But I'm sure I'm not the only one. I've talked to some of the other promoters, and they all feel it, I'm sure, and even frame right down to the parts builders. I mean, did they ever really stop? I mean, from Christmas on, bang, bang, bang.
I don't think so.
No, they didn't. So Frankie's, we got to take a minute to acknowledge we got some great stuff coming in on the live chat too, and then we'll get into some more stuff with Frankie here real quick. Just a real brief sidebar though. The first year that we did the RC Derby at Blizzard Bash, when we had it down on the track, and we almost ran into the start time. We were talking about we're gonna. I did something kind of like what Frankie did, where helped the guy bring his car out. I didn't realize that car, because we had 50-some entries, and I was trying to get everything straightened out, and I put the car on the track for this guy that was out working on the carburetor. and he wasn't going to get back. He told me put me in Heat 3, and I missed it completely, and I can't think of his name. I'm hoping that maybe Sean Porth can remember it. His car got all tore up because it wasn't being driven, and it just didn't click, and I felt horrible. I was ready to give him a body and everything. He ended up making the feature. He ended up running. I think he ran it down into the. I almost think he ran it down into the money, if I remember right. But
Nice.
He was. The folks with him were far more upset with me than he was, but it didn't have nearly the beginnings of such a great story as what Frankie was just telling us. Ryan Deal, he was remembering Ed had the chance to meet him one time, and I'm pretty sure that was up in Auburn at Speed World, and met Ed, and just thought he was a great person. Lee Sager checking in. I haven't talked with Lee in weeks. I've been talking with Marty, but hopefully everything's good for Lee. Scott Webster, enjoying the stories. Sean Porth, same thing. Great memories from running RC events, even though he was overbuilt and may or may not have been loaded at some point at one of them. So good to hear from. Whoops, I just jumped that so much I can't read anything. There we go. From Sean Porth. Scott Kiefer checking in. Correlia with some support. Sean Porth saying that everything's in good hands. So that's good to hear. Christy King talking about the world premiere. Liking it. Rob Oswalt checking in. Christy Germain saying the Bills game was insane. It was. I'd rather not talk about it, though. We can just leave that at that. Todd Doobie, yeah, he was the Dent promoter. Yep. That's right. Ron McClung.
Todd Dubé. That was Todd Dubé. That was correct.
What if we?
And I remember the trophy was made out. It looked almost like a. They give the Heisman to the Heisman Trophy. It was made out of that. It was pretty amazing. I don't know who won it or if the guy's out there, but it was an amazing show. And I remember that trophy still sticks in my mind. It kind of reminded me of the Heisman Trophy winner, you know.
Yeah. Tommy Woodbury, he's asking what would happen if we ran rules like that today. And I think probably every car would get loaded because everyone would cheat.
Yeah.
Tony Godwin, the best thing that he has seen was Frankie running in the heavy cars last year. Valerie Fleming asking if you're going to the beach until March. And Franklin Root, trophy and a ring too. Ron McClung has an incredible memory for all the derbies he's been in. It's always protected his head.
Well, he delivers the big shots. He doesn't take the big shots.
It helps a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. When you're the one delivering the big shots, it's all good. It's
better to be the hammer than the nail, right?
Yeah.
I heard that about a bumper one time.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of RC derbies, again, I have to, Paul. I've been so many messages, so many things. I have to go back and look through but somebody did message me about RC derbies this year. We've never had it at any of our shows. I know when we were up there, when I used to go to Bad Habit shows, that they used to frequent the Stoneboro Fair.
Yep.
But I have to look back and see who it is. And again, I apologize. Just overwhelmed at this point, guys, with the rush, like the push and the rush, and so many things to do in so little time. Everything is coming so fast, and the big shows, opening up April in Stoneboro, then our new for the Knox Raceway, that those people have taken it and ran it, almost doubled all our purses. Wow. Just amazing group, which also, it was on the phone with Mark. Hey, I don't have much in May. Unified points. Call the guy from the Knox Raceway. Hey, we're going to add. It's going to be a little bit. We're going to add. Let's add it. Back and forth on the phone. Now Knox is a unified point show, just like that, in 60 seconds. So, then our team show, our team, if anybody's out there, our team show needs some help. We need some more drivers. We had guaranteed a purse. We're going to guarantee the purse that we got. Right now, it's $10,000 to win. I had went on live the other day, and I stated starting Monday, any team that's signed up, that $10,000 to win will go up by $800.
Wow.
So, if I can get 3 or 4 more teams, that purse will be 10-5. It'll be $11,000, $12,000, it'll be $14,000 to win.
Whoa,
that's not bad.
So we'll just continue to, want that to grow. And also, I told guys if maybe there's 4 singles out there that just don't have enough partners or need some more people, contact me. Maybe I can put Team No Name together, and you never know. So,
how many shows do you have scheduled at this point? I know I've been trying to keep up as we traded some messages back and forth, and it seemed like you were somewhere between 8 and 60.
Yeah, that's sort of like a weatherman at this point. 17, 18, I'll say. 17, 18-ish.
And it's finalized at this point, or are you still adding?
Yeah, we have one that's kind of off again, on again, off again, on again. Just again, the overlap. The derbies there's just so many everywhere. Not just one other one, but 2 to 3 other ones driving distance. I've come to the realization there's only so many drivers in an area. Mm-hmm. A $10,000 or a $5,000 derby to win is almost became the norm, mm-hmm. if you will. If you're not doing that as a standalone, it's probably worthless. I'm worried about the fares. I got to where those guys that are building, let's say, a limited weld or something heavy or a cradle car, let's call it. I mean, you're talking $25,000. They're probably not building that car to come win $1,500. Now, explaining to the fair boards that you're going to get that car after it ran or seconds. You'll get maybe, again, some of the hometown guys, you'll still get that. But there's too many options now where they can get to in this. And the overlap, I'm surrounded by 2 great other promoters. But I mean, we all are working together as much as we can. There's no animosity. We talk constantly. TJ and Iron City and Steve. I mean, it's definitely an open communication. We try to work and help with each other.
Sure.
And as you spoke at the beginning, this year, the Friday night at the SMW Expo, we're going to have all of us in one room. I'm excited. You talked about rules, and we talk about things. I can tell you from the backside, there's a lot of great promoters trying, guys. Mm-hmm. If it can be done, if it can't be done, I don't know. But there's a lot of good promoters now that are trying, and we're going to, hopefully that meeting Friday night, baby steps and gain some. But hold on, Derby World, because we're trying.
Well, that sort of lends itself pretty well to that the Youth World Championship that you're putting together, where all the different promoters that are in the greater hardcore orbit are going to be able to send a representative or 2.
Yes, man, super excited about that. There's no one's more excited about youth as Casey, and sometimes takes on the SMW youth and takes on more than he can chew. But I look at him and think, well, I'll chew on it too. I might as well. Let's do it. And let's not just get us involved. Let's get everybody involved. And I tell guys, you can't beat me because I want you to win too. I'm on there. You'll see me during the summer. I know this end and how hard I work, how hard it takes to get to the arena and what we do for the guys. I don't care who the promoter is. Go out and support your promoters this summer, guys. This has been the toughest year, the most expensive. Insurance is up, trophies are up. Whether it be Gully up north and New York and Decker and those guys are down Carolina promotions this year. Great guys, got to talk to them. I'll be there with the lift. So heads up, guys. We're bringing a lift to South Carolina. Just excited about all those things. So, we've contacted Toast and all those guys. Christy from Impact in Canada. Let's go. They're thrilled. Christy does a great job. I don't know how she does some of the stuff I'll post, but whatever I take it, and she makes it look all wonderful and pretty and puts it back on Impact. And I shake my head. I did a little thing there. She took it and made really something out of it, and I'm like, how did she do that? It's just awesome. We're glad to have them aboard. Promoters work with the promoters. I'll say it. I started that thing back when COVID hit at the Roy Knob and Center Stage. You know, there was Brett, there was me, there was Toast, there was Iron City, there was Dead Man. Who am I forgetting? I'm probably forgetting a couple more other ones. But we were all there all together. Again, it's out of Mark Elliott's book. It's pointing the needle in the right direction. And that's what I'm for. That's what hardcore is about. The hardcore drivers, people working together, the promoters trying and moving derbies in the right direction.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
The Youth National Championship, we're excited about having the kids and them being nominated. Work on a little certificate that the promoters can give them as a keepsake. As far as being promoted, criteria. Number one is a kid that will come, a kid that's willing to travel, a kid that's willing to come and compete. Number one on the book. Well, let's say first, second, or third. That's not what we're looking for. The kid that's going to build to the next level. But the SMW build is a pretty stout build. I've been happy to sit in some of the youth cars I've seen, especially last year at the Bash.
Oh yeah.
But that kid that wants to build to that degree, that next tier, that next level, show up and compete. And we're going to give them some good money. We're going to put them on center stage as the main class. I believe it's the first night of the final confrontation. And also, instead of championships, we've opened the final confrontation up as a national championship.
Cool.
Interesting.
Our regular, I know everybody's paid the cradle cars and the limited welds. Hardcore, being, people call us kind of fair guys. Well, we stayed in our lane. We are now paying our hardcore compacts and our hobby stock builds $8,000 a win. You come throughout the year if you are first, second, third. And we replaced the Hellraiser this year with the hardcore hammer. So if you are first, second, third, fourth, I think it's the top 3 or 4 and our hardcore hammer, and you come back and have a second run with us, you win that national championship in the final confrontation, you will get an additional $2,000.
Not bad.
That's pretty nice.
So we're putting our money in our mouth, where our mouth is, and with the guys from the fairs that run our shows and come and compete, and we're giving back to them. And but that will be again open. Probably the beginning of April, maybe April 1st, or maybe even at the SMW, to be determined. We're going to open those up. If you think you're going to run with us, make sure you get in on that one. Going to do a $5,000. I don't want to call it cleanup show, but after our city being I think 8th or 9th and 10th of September, we are October 1st and 2nd this year. So 3 heats. One and done's 40 cars a heat. 3 weeks later, come bring that car for a chance at another $5,000. That's what we're going to do with our limited weld, which kind of mirror Iron City Promotions
right
rules. So also, Jonathan Howman introduced the Run What You Brung and Hope You Brought Enough compacts we're going to have at our shows this year. So that's exciting. Jonathan's one of those guys that he has, I don't know if it's 9,000-pound compact or something. I don't know. We all went to the Bash that year, just like Steve did going out to Kansas. We had flat tires constantly. I told you, that thing's too heavy for that. So we just kept changing tires.
So Frankie, I got to ask. I know your biggest supporter in the Derby world is obviously Michelle, and whenever you see one, you see the other. These two guys, they're always together. They're a great, great couple doing great things for the sport. But I got to ask, when you come up with some of these ideas or, raising these purses this much, does Michelle ever look at you and kind of give you a look like maybe you're going a little crazy or, anything like that? Or
Oh, my. As early as 24 minutes ago. I got home late. Again, phone calls. Every Wednesday I make a run, and my goodness, I got home 24 minutes. 24 minutes ago she was yelling at me about purses and why are you wearing it? Why are you raising that? And it's. I know a lot of promoters take a lot of flack. For whatever reason, I'm not. We seem to get more. Maybe I'm crazy, but man, I am for the drivers. If the drivers do on the back end what we do at Hardcore to fight for those drivers, just this instance as my fare, a little bit behind putting my fare contracts and agreements together. In my new agreements, spell out the number of derbies. A stick of 4x4 by quarter being $500. The money and the time and money spent, on something is a simple compact. The rollers and the cars, how much they cost. Mm-hmm. And it's because I've been in so many shoes for so long. Trying to give back to them and on the promoter's end, and I can't speak for other ones, but I'm telling you the persons that we got, we fight for them to get paid. Right now, it's been a tough fight for 2022. Has been a tough fight, but we're going to continue to fight for the hardcore drivers and give them the best. Top-notch, top quality, fair, level playing field that we can. Maybe more than ever this year, to prove our point in some instances, you guys come run with us. Come support our fair shows. It's the only way to keep it going. Or you never know, it might, here today, gone tomorrow. Somebody will always do it cheaper.
Yep.
Well, you get what you pay for on those fronts too. Somebody can come in and do it cheaper, but the problem is sure, you can easily sit back from a fair point of view and say, hey, it's your job because you're the promoter to make sure that you bring in those cars. It's like, well, if you look at my body of work, I've got 17 derbies and I'm not having a hard time drawing anywhere. And you can only do so much to keep those fairs up and running. And if they're not willing to change for the times and understand where they are on the landscape, if that's what their purses are, then it sort of comes to a point where this is a terminal relationship one way or another.
Thank you, Chris. That's exactly, that conversation that's been happening a lot. And,
well, if you need me, Lee, just let me know. I'll be there for one of the meetings. I'll explain it to him.
No, sometimes I need talked off the bridge. I think twice last week I backed up and put the tailgate down, and I think it was Mark Elliott or Casey Smith called and talked me down off the tailgate because I was going to jump. So twice they come and, those two guys, I know I talk about them a lot. There's not two better out there. I get all emotional and stuff. I can't help it. But just a special bond, a special thing. Talk a bunch and about a lot of things. So I appreciate what everybody does for Derby World, but two really special guys to me.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Frankie, as we know, Frankie's got a lot of stuff still in the works, and while the schedule is finalized on paper, he hasn't caught up on all of the graphics quite yet. So if you jump on hardcorederbypromotions.com, that's going to be continued to be updated as we go. There's a couple of them up there. He sent me a ton of that stuff, and we had all these plans about all the stuff that we were going to dive into, and we didn't even scratch the surface. So if nothing else, we've left meat on the bone for another time.
Absolutely, I can talk for days.
So what we'll do is
my gift to gab.
Well, Tommy Woodbury has been tuned into this whole thing, and as a promoter who's building up there in New England, he's gaining a little bit of traction up there. So he appreciates listening to you and trying to pick and learn a little bit. So hopefully you guys have had a conversation independent of just him sitting here listening to us, because he's a great student.
No, my number's plastered everywhere. I tell people I take the good with the bad. I am more than gracious to share stories with other promoters, ideas, you name it. I got no secrets. I am wide open. I got nothing to hide. I enjoy the heck out of listening and talking to other promoters. It's been a big part of keeping me here, honestly. But sometimes the talk with the promoters and the drivers are two different discussions.
Two very different discussions.
Very different.
Very different.
So sometimes the promoters and the good ones know. The good promoters, I'm not saying, there's good and there's bad in anything. And they're out there, and I can tell right away the good ones that there's no promoter out there getting rich doing this.
No.
When I was looking for a flagman, people would. I'm like, what do I tell them? I can't think of anything good to say about it. People call me. I want to promote a derby. Unless it is an undying love that runs in your veins deeper than blood. There's nothing else in it, guys. The money isn't there. The praise isn't there. It's for the love of the sport. And sometimes as we move on and it's been harder to keep up and keep going.
Well, listen to this.
You know how much you sink your heart and your soul into it. And sometimes it still isn't right. It's been hard to swallow in some instances. But, tell the guy from New York, call me. I'd love to talk to him.
So there you go, Tommy. I'll get you Frankie's phone number. But you say it's a thankless job, and we have said for a couple years now that what you guys are doing right, because you started from the right perspective. And there's other promoters out there that do this the same way, but I don't want it to go lost on you guys, and how you treated the drivers with respect, and everything was decent from the get-go, and there wasn't any of the favoritism and some of the nonsense, and that's what helped drive the momentum of hardcore. When all the county fairs were shutting down, hardcore was still running in Pennsylvania, giving people a place to run, and that in turn led you to the success that you had last year, because people wanted to come back and be part of it, and they saw what it was, and they turned into destinations. So if you don't want to take my word for it, Tony Godwin is still in the chat, and he says he's run for a lot of promoters, and Frankie and Michelle are the best, hands down. So I don't know how you can top that.
Tell about the Godwins and all the guys out there. I go back to meeting Jody and Butchie, Dawn Santel, kind of taken back a little bit, starstruck, if you will, blah, blah,
right.
In my derby world. That's Dawn Santel. Oh, wow, okay. But to meet these guys, and then you talk about that year that we were in COVID, for guys like him and Pete Hansen and Corey Ryan, I look behind me and I remember some of these guys with their jaws chopped open. I mean, we have got a world North American national field right up here at the Royal Raceway, and guys are, what in the world is going on? Yep. I mean, it was amazing to see, amazing to watch. Again, we made friends and again kept the integrity. Also, we got 6 unified shows. 6. So proud to be able to be a part of that again. And I'll say it, the winner that wins unified points, I bet we'll have run a hardcore show. So,
well, I think it's because you have a third of the schedule.
Right. So,
well, awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we got some stuff that we can dive back into once the rest of the schedule gets solidified and all the rest of the details and stuff are out there. I know most of it's done. and you're working on the rest of the graphics and stuff. But if nothing else, it was a great time just to hang out and chat a little bit. We learned some stuff
Absolutely,
that we didn't know
guys.
otherwise.
And as always, I definitely will need to get you guys to a hardcore show, especially Brian. I'd like to have some dinner with him and buy him a steak and pick his brain one night. But you're invited, Brian, and
I appreciate it.
come at the hardcore show. Steaks on me. There's a quaint little restaurant here. Uniontown's best kept hidden secret, and you and Chris and the fam, whatever, come down. We'll treat you.
I appreciate that.
We'll make a plan for it in 2022.
Okay, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Frankie. We'll
Have a
catch
good
up
one,
with you
Frankie.
soon.
Take care.
See you now.
Bye.
There goes Frankie Guy. So before we go any further, I know of at least 3 drivers that have spools of those decals, and you just get to slap it on wherever it'll fit. Those GM, those baby blue decals. It just
Whitaker, Zisselman, who's the other one?
what?
Whitaker, Zisselman, who's the other
Yeah,
one?
how many do you need? I heard stories about like when stuff was discontinued that you could buy frames and you could get stuff through dealers. I don't know if it's true, but I mean, I heard that
That would be awesome.
that was like. So, like, you could still get that stuff. And, I mean...
that would be cool.
I have no idea if it's true or not, but it was a...
I'll have to do some digging, see if... I know some guys that might know some guys and hear if they ever heard anything like that.
Yeah. I'm
That'd
sure
be
you
cool.
could come up with something. It'd be neat, wouldn't it? I mean, obviously, that ship has long since
Sailed, but still, the fact
yeah.
that you could have done that back in the day, that would be
Can you
cool.
imagine? Buy it and hang on to it in 1981 if there's anything left over.
Imagine if you could find, like, a cherry, 70, whatever.
Did you see the shocker that just came out of Pennsylvania the other day? It was gorgeous. It looked like it just came out of the showroom. It was gorgeous.
Knock the windows out and let's go.
That's exactly what's going to happen to it too. But I mean, the paint on it was great. But hey,
Yeah.
everybody keeps saying you can't save them all. I just got to find a way to save one.
Listen, in 10 years, your kids will be out of college and, you'll be able to buy yourself a nice cruiser.
I have one. And when they get out of school, hopefully I still got something left to fix. If I can just find a way to nurse around what's left so that we can get there, we'll be back there. I really...
You got to find something different to sit it on. The soil in Seneca County is not the best for to sit in.
I know.
You know what I put mine on? And when we got done with the caddy after the last time we ran it, one of the dad's shop is concrete and the other end's dirt. Well, we had some tin roof, the tin roofing they put on. The neighbor had got a bunch of it and did his own roof, and it's I don't know, 30 foot long or something, and it's standing up in the one end of our shed. So we laid that down, backed the car up on top of that, and there it sits. So I'll see if that was a moisture.
I know. I mean, it's been there for a while now, and it kills me. But it's not going to get sold. It'll rot where it sits before anything else happens to it. I just don't want anything else to happen to it. And I'm on borrowed time as it is. We got to do something, but it's cost prohibitive right now. We just can't do it. And the longer I wait to spend the money, the more money it's going to cost. But
isn't that a vicious cycle?
It is.
But you know what? I mean, they do ground up restorations now, so it's.
I know. And
they can fix anything.
I don't want it to be a ground up restoration. I just want to be able to drive it safely. That's all I want.
Yeah, I mean, all they'll probably have to do is, put new subframes and floors.
Everything is good in it so far.
Yeah.
I mean, right now everything's good, and just I keep joking with Melissa. There's no reason to rush it. Tomorrow's always a guarantee.
Shouldn't see the humor in that.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
Not at all. Nope.
It was funny. We the car that Zach was driving was a hand-me-down from his uncle, and it was good for the first semester of school, but it's wore out, 220,000, and so it went down the road. So we've, right now he's actually got his mom's car because she's working from home because of COVID and so on and so forth. And so I was at work one day and Mom and Zach were looking for cars. So Mom's going through one part and Zach's going through another. He goes, "Mom, right here, this is what I need."
Uh-oh.
He goes, "Look, we can buy this and Dad can drive this. You can drive Dad's truck and I'll take the car." It was a 1975 Cadillac, 2-door, blah, 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 for the low price of $8,500. And she was like, "You see what you did to him?" And I'm like, I didn't really do anything to him. Just being a young boy in the Derby, and I think it's
debit card or credit card. Which one?
Yeah, it's all good. It's
you can't take it with you, right?
He's like just offer them less and see if they take it.
Oh my God!
Ah, boy,
it's not exactly how it's going to work.
But that was he had it figured out, man. That was going to be my cruiser, and we could wreck it in a year or two, and so
I saw that gold Plymouth Fury has been relegated to the back lot on Main Street. That one that was up in Manchester forever that Donnie finally got his hands on.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that one was parked out back. I'm like, oh, that's not a good sign.
He's got a couple out at his place on 336 where he works on. He's got a couple shockers out there. But Donnie's one of the busiest guys in the world.
Ever. Of all time. And I'm pretty sure he's still got an Imperial in that garage.
Oh, yeah.
He never got rid of that thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, it's never going to bend.
Yeah. So he'll build something out of it sooner or later.
Eldridge's ran at the Hangover race. I don't know if you saw that. A bunch of them pulled double duty. The Wilkins were there. Tim Ellison was there. Zach Herman was there.
I bet you it was cold.
It looked cold. The pictures looked like it was Blizzak weather, Yep.
I
was talking to somebody who didn't know anything about demolition derbies. Like, so what do you just run like studded snow tires? I'm like, nah, there's rules against that, but Blizzaks.
Blizzaks will get it done nicely.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's time to put a fork in it.
I think so. I think we're going to call this one good. I think this was 384, 385, something now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We're closing it on 400.
Yeah. We're clicking them off. But God willing, we're going to be back here on Monday. Back on Monday how it was supposed to be. But appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us. Larry Sullivan was one of the last folks to check in. Again, always great to have you guys hanging out for the ride with us. If I didn't get to you in chat, I do appreciate it anyway, especially being a low heads up Wednesday.
Yeah.
But
there wasn't much.
Not much warning.
Nope.
Nonetheless, we sure do appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you back here again on Monday. Thanks a lot.
Good Monday.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.